kids, welcome back to Roto Talk.
Kids, welcome back. Happy Monday. So, I promised you we're going to be doing an electric build, which is kind of, not something I normally do. The Phil Thomas round nose Karleson Sport 20 came today. Very, very cool boat. All fiberglass, obviously. Two-piece hull now, or two-piece cowl. Now, what I did is I ordered the nitro version cowl with an FE body because I like the look of this one better. If you get the FE cowl, it has like a fake engine and stuff, and I might put little exhaust pipes or something on there, I don't know yet, but I like the big hump. I didn't like the empty with the engine, so it's just how I like it. So yeah, we gotta put flotation in these, obviously. The boat's all glass. This is a foam whatchamacallit, centerpiece, I guess. I thought it was wood, but in the instructions it says it's foam. Either way, it does have a plate for the turn fin, comes in there, and a sticker in there that says Phil Thomas and all that crap. So the specs on this, so from stern to nose is pretty much 30, ultimate width 14, narrow width 9ish. Very, very light. And as you guys know, or maybe you don't, Phil Thomas, this is the first Phil Thomas one I've ever built. You may or may not know that very, very high-end hulls from my friends online that have built them, and they're very, very well made. It's going to take very little finishing to do this. I'm going to kick it with some real light sandpaper, paint it, done. I mean, it's going to be, the cowls fit really, really nice. You can see they've already been cut. I mean, it's really going to be so fast to build. I had the ML Boatworks Lauderback. Is that the ML? Yeah, whatever it was. That I absolutely loved, that I destroyed. And I was this close to buying another one to build on the channel, and then I'm like, I'm going to try. This is smaller. That Lauderback is 41 inches. This is only 30. This is much, much smaller. I am not building this to race spec. I'm putting a 6S battery in it, and a big old motor, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. So this is again, I'm a sport runner. I don't do race spec stuff. So what we're going to do, I gutted my old orange Hydro, got most of the guts out of that for this. I even have an aluminum, I found that in the magic drawer from Zip Kits. Yeah, it's going to be a neat little boat, I think. I know it will be. It's going to be really cool. And yeah, so the transom is also supported with wood or whatever's in there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get out the pour foam, and we're going to pour in the nose, and we're going to fill these as well, okay? So let me get that stuff prepped up, and we will be right back. Easy, easy, easy. This is the stuff I use. Fiberglass Supply Depot expanding pour foam. Sometimes I buy the big can. Sometimes I buy these little bottles now. It does not take much to do cowls. This is going to be too much, actually. This stuff does expand quite a bit. So equal amounts. Yes, I do them in 2 separate cups. Whichever cup has the most, use that one to pour. Looks like this one does. So do that. I mean, if you want to measure them, you got little measuring cups and stuff, that's great. It's not the space shuttle, kids. It's just pour foam. And I like my pour foam. So this does not need much. And we're going to do the hull as well, obviously. Mix this stuff. This stuff starts working fast too, by the way. So don't need a ton. Okay. These are just light little cowls, nothing crazy. All right. So we'll let that cook, give it a couple minutes, we'll be right back. While those are cooking, we're going to foam the nose of this. Now, I said this before in my couple other videos, the Thunderbolts, like the big, anything wood, but I've had to do it with fiberglass too. I think actually it was that mono rebuild we were doing. This stuff can shrink over time and pull you out of shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some WD-40, or you can take cooking spray. You can't see this. Sorry, can't really get this on camera. And what I'm going to do is this. I'm just literally coating this with WD-40 on the inside. It's not going to affect this. The reason I'm doing that is that way it won't want to pull all of that in. Okay, so now we're going to mix up some more pour foam. Got to go kind of quick. Now remember, even if you make a little bit of a mess and you can see it, once you paint this thing, you're not going to see it inside there. So let's mix this up. Mix it well. Okay. And that WD-40 won't affect anything. It's just going to keep it, it's like cooking spray. It's just going to keep it from sticking to the surface. But it's still not going to fall out or move around. So watch this. Okay. Oops, shit. Clean that out. Hang on a minute. Alright. Now what we're going to do, we're going to let that cook. And it's going to cook, meaning cure. And it's going to go up the sides a little bit. And it'll be enough for flotation. It'll be fine. So once these are done, you can see my biscuits are almost done cooking in here. Actually, they are. Only been a couple minutes. This stuff goes in like 3 minutes. It's done. So once this one's done, we'll be right back. We're back. So mine overfilled a little bit. So what I did, it does not take much to float one of these things. I just take a 60 grit sandpaper on a disc, sand the foam down. Sands down real easy. This one we're going to make even more farther down. Now, the center of gravity for this particular boat, this by the way is like a 1500 kV, and that's a 6S. That's where I'm going with this one. So the recommended center of gravity point is 14 to 15 inches from the transom. So from right here up. So I went for the middle ground, 14 and a half, which is this line right here, which is pretty close to where your turn fin is. Okay, so I don't put the hardware on because the hardware's, you can. It's super, super light though. It's easy to offset. It's hard to offset that, hard to offset that, hard to offset that, and my ESC I put over here inside. I'll show you that later. So you want to get an idea of where you're at, and then we're going to lift this up at around that center of gravity point, and that looks really good. Now we'll always be able to add a little bit of weight. It's easier to add than take away, but so what I do is I mark, I want my motor around there, my battery back around here, and this is a variable. I can move this anywhere I want. Now you'll notice just by taking that servo out, watch, totally nose heavy. Isn't that crazy? Now we add that servo back in. Yeah, still a little bit. Okay. The little goes a long way, but we also have this big old ESC here, and I can play with that. I can move that forward, I can move that backward. That's easy. Okay. Now, a couple of traps I've gotten into with electric boats. These little boats, which I love. But now, this ESC could, in theory, go up here. But that really limits my center of gravity. So now we put the motor where I had it, put the battery where we had it, put the ESC up there. You're going to see it's a lot more nose heavy. But once we get the hardware on and things like that, but we can always move this. I'm going to be putting this in with tape. But the one thing I do want to make sure of is that I can get it in and out of here, which I can. There's plenty of room once I get my motor in. So the first thing we're going to do, one piece at a time, kids. All right. So what we're going to do first is we're going to center line this motor, and we're going to mount this in with fiberglass. So I'm going to mix up fiberglass, and I'm actually going to use fiberglass cloth as well, and I'm going to fiberglass this in. I am also going to scuff the hull. I already scuffed this, but I'll probably do it again with some 60 or 40 grit sandpaper. You really want to get it roughed up, and then clean it with alcohol before you glass it in. Super, super simple. Okay. Now we got to find the center line. I think the directions said, and it does come with a couple pages of directions set up and stuff. Let's see. Yeah. So the center line is going to be right in the middle of this strut right here, and it looks like, hang on. Looks like there is a line in here. It's probably impossible for you to see on camera. I don't know if there is or not, but what I'm going to do, that's where my motor's at. I'm just going to measure this, divide that by 2, center it up, and that'll be fine. As long as the motor's reasonably close, we're good. Finding center for the shaft is pretty easy because there's already these dimple marks where we need to put it. So the strut's going to go right here. Okay, these dimples are set up for Speedmaster hardware, which I am not using. I'm using all old hardware out of the magic drawer. I'll make it work. As long as you find your centers and you've got your adjustability, you're going to be okay. All right, so I am going to scuff this up, and then we're going to measure, find our center, and then we're going to fiberglass that guy in. And we're going to do one step at a time. Once that's fiberglassed in, nice and solid, then I'm going to put our shaft tube in, make sure that's good. I even saved the old shaft tube, but I don't think it's going to be long enough, so I'm probably going to have to buy a new one. I don't think I have any of that here. So anyway, let's at least get this motor in. We'll be right back. So I roughed it up. I actually used some 80 grit sandpaper on the Dremel. I decided to change my mind. I'm going to put the battery up here, motor back here. 2 reasons. 1, I can reuse my old tube because this tube's in good shape and I don't have any more, but that allows me for a little bit more wiggle room on center of gravity if I need to move my battery. So what we're going to do, remember our fiberglass, got 1.5 ounces, so that's about 15 drops. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Close enough. Okay, I'm going to put a dribble of wax in here. Remember, you got to have the wax if you're only doing 1 layer, or else it'll be sticky forever. Okay, mix this up real well. Now what we're going to do, we're going to do a dual layer sandwich effect. Okay, and it's about 86 degrees today, so this should kick up pretty quick and easy, pretty fast. Okay. Now, when doing fiberglass, you always want to put a layer down first. And I do use gloves with fiberglass because I hate getting the shit on my hands, because I hate getting it off my hands. Now, this is just how I do motors. Maybe you have a better way. Electric mounts. Okay. And this is why I wear gloves. Okay. Now, I usually go like this. Yeah, also, I cleaned the hull and the motor mount with alcohol. Denatured alcohol. Okay. Then this is, I do a double layer. Now the reason I'm doing a double layer is this is a boat I want to last. I want to do a halfway decent job on it. Usually with electrics I just throw together because I'm just usually not into them too much, but this one I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Don't worry, I'll center that up in a minute. Alright, so after I fiberglassed it, I went ahead, measured out the edges, which is basically the exact width of this ruler. Okay, made sure it was evened up on front and back, which it is. It's nice and level. Then I take a piece of wax paper, put it over the fiberglass, and put yourself a heavy socket or something on there just to kind of give it a gravity clamp. Okay? And that's just going to help you out in life.
Time to face destiny.
Time to face gravity!
So we're going to let that cook for an hour or so, and we'll come back and put in the battery. Be right back. Here we go. So I ended up taking that top layer off because I didn't think we needed it. So that you might have, I don't think I got that on camera. So this is cured enough for now. So we're going to take that off, our wax paper off. Yeah. I mean, we're not going to put any stress on it. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to dig a hole for our shaft tube. So when I say dig a hole, I mean that literally. So this is kind of hard to do on camera. I'm going to throw a couple screws in here, and then we're going to see where the shaft is going to come out, and we're going to chop a hole and put our strut in. Be right back. Not strut, box. Be right back. So we've got the motor mocked up. How I figure out where my shaft hole's coming out, I take a piece of shaft. Whenever you have these little extra bits, save them. I have tons of them that are 1/4 inch, whatever. Stick that in your collet, and where it comes out, where it touches the hull, that's where you're going to be drilling, right? So one of the reasons that I decided, okay, there's a few reasons I wanted to share with you. The reason I moved the motor down and putting the battery up, we're going to be able to adjust that center of gravity quite a bit with that battery. So we're going to put everything else in. We're going to have a servo over here, because on this particular boat, the rudder goes on the left, which is a little backwards from what we're used to. And the strut's going to go here, obviously. So we'll be able to adjust quite a bit of room there. So you can see where we've got this fits pretty good. I don't think we're going to have an issue at all. Not a bit. So one of the other things that I do, so we're going to take this, drill it out. Okay. Then I make one of these. Because I pushed the motor so far back, I want some extra support on this heel here. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to fiberglass this in the exact same way we did the other thing. We're going to rough this up, and this is already wood, so it'll be okay. And we're going to slather this pretty good. We're going to put some tape around here so we don't make a huge mess. We'll scuff this up, and then we'll weight it as well. Then we're going to take, in this particular case, I am going to use a stuffing box, which with electrics I usually don't. Like a rigger, I usually just do the shaft straight in. But in this case, I want to put a stuffing box in, which is a tube that the shaft is going to ride in. Okay, so we're going to do this. Now that's not going to be nearly extreme enough, so I'm going to have to fiddle fart around with that. This hole here, I'm going to have to cut a little wider. Okay, so it's going to be 2 layers. We're going to make this a little bit longer. Okay, probably with a sanding drum with a Dremel. We'll take this, stick it in there, bring it back a good amount. Then we're going to fiberglass this in. All right. Then after that, we're going to seat this in, flip the boat upside down. Usually what I'll do is I'll put a little piece of, or a little drop of super glue on there to hold it in. Now, one of the other tricks that I do with this too is I'll put this in a drill, and you want this scuffed up. Don't put it too tight, you'll bend it. I want this scuffed up real well. Okay. Get all that oxidation off. That way your fiberglass will stick to it real good. Use 80 grit. That's 120. Whatever you got. Okay. And you'll be good. Clean it with alcohol. Put it in there. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and elongate this, do all that work, and come back and show you what we did. Be right back. Alright. What did I do? Losing shit. Where'd it go? So, see what I did there? So, one of the things that I did, I drilled the hole through here. I made this longer with the sanding drum of a Dremel. That'd be the easiest way to do it. See that? Oink, oink. Real easy. Use a rough grit. Use like a 60 or an 80. Then With this, I do the same thing. I take that Dremel, I drilled a hole, and I kind of made it at an angle with a drill bit. Okay, just angle it over. Then take your sanding drum and just do an angle on that side and an angle on that side. That way your tube, your stuffing box, lays nice and soft. Or not soft, Jesus. The right angle. So the other thing we want to try, here's our old tube, okay, and this is going to get soldered in there. But what I want to do is make sure everybody's lined up before we epoxy this in. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our old Dremel tool and we're going to scuff this up. Okay, that gives your fiberglass something to bite into, and of course we'll blow this out and wipe it down. And we're going to put our little placeholder in there. Then there it is. Okay. Let's see. Did I have? Doesn't really matter. This side. Okay. I can see that's going to line up really well. And then we can stuff this. It looks like I might have to loosen up. I have to make this a little deeper. And that's okay, because what we're going to do, you might be like, oh shit, you're just tearing that boat hull apart. Yeah, I am. But I'm putting fiberglass right back in it. Okay, I need to bring this back farther. So I'm going to show you that. It's real easy. Not by much, 1/4 of an inch. We're going to be filling this back in with fiberglass, so it doesn't matter. And that should be the devil. Okay. Just like that. Alright. So, get your alignment right. Take some time with this. Be a little patient. Think about it. You're not building a wood kit, so you got all the time in the world, right? I'll show you what I'm fighting with on the bottom side. We're going to have to take it and angle it a little bit more, I think. Let's flip it this way. That might be the better way. Alright, see that? I need to shave that down, give it a little bit of angle. Not that much. That's okay. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. Now, will this bend into there? Yes. Okay. Perfectly. Okay. That's what we're going to do. And then that is going to bend. We're going to anneal this and bend it out. Okay? Right now it's wanting to nosedive there. Alright, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a tape dam on the bottom. I'm going to fiberglass this part first. And we're going to lay the fiberglass in here first. Alright? Then we're going to put the wood on so it gets good and saturated. I'm going to mark this so I know. That's the top. Alright. Just a look at that. Want to be pretty. Alright. Something right about like that. Alright. I'll get this in and I'll show you what we did. Be right back.